Miss Julie, as I was getting ready to sit down and watch it, I thought in my head, I hope this is more like a play. It looks like a play, and it's a play. I didn't know. I looked it up afterwards, and it's based on a play, and you can clearly tell. I mean, it's just two people in basically one setting for the whole thing, and it's totally dialogue driven. And I was actually having a bit of trouble understanding some things. They talk in a very heavy accent, so but I got it, and it just took me a couple minutes to adjust to the accent because it was very strong, but I got it. And I'm gonna be very brief because this is not for everybody, I don't think. It's basically what I hoped it would be. It's long, but it's definitely entertaining. It got a bit slow towards the middle. The last part picked up, obviously, but it started off strong and it ended strong, and then the middle was just a bit slow. But other than that, I really loved it. I'm sure that it's the original play is really good, and that's why this is really good, but I think they made a good job at not making it completely boring. I mean, it's technically three people. It's just three characters, and it takes place in one house. They sort of move around the house, but it's mostly the kitchen. And it's just based on their dialogue, which was pretty interesting. I wasn't sure where the story was going at the end, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with how it ended. I'm okay with everything that happened. The characters were certainly the selling point of this movie. The characters and the acting, because that was some... Jessica Chastain, I feel like she's so good, and I want to keep seeing more of her on screen. I really, really like her. And she was completely insane in this movie, and everybody was great. Colin Farrell, right? That's Colin Farrell. I always confuse them, Colin Firth and Colin Farrell. That's Colin Farrell, that's right. And I don't usually like him. I'm not specifically like a fan of his, but he was pretty damn good, and the characters were just so interesting. And I love when a movie starts off a certain way with the characters being established a certain way, and then they just completely flip. And this wasn't like a sudden flip or anything, but the characters did evolve throughout the whole thing, and they did change. I had one idea at the beginning, and then I had another at the end. So I think they did a really good job at showing the progression of the characters. And by the way, just the movie takes place, well, the story takes place over one night, one day and one night. So it's very much like a play. The whole, what was the 3 setting rule or something like that, where it has to be in one day, in one setting, with limited characters. That's basically like a play, right? I think that was in the Romanticism, I'm not sure. But I'm not usually into a lot of plays, just because they don't appeal to me the way they are written. But this one, I think they did a good job at adapting it to the screen, so that people like me that don't like watching plays necessarily can enjoy it. It's definitely a good translation, I guess, on screen. It was very emotional. It just kept going up and down and up and down, and the characters were just so good, and I didn't need to know a lot about them to be interested in them. I feel like they went into way too much backstory. I would have been fine with them just doing what they were doing at that given moment. I didn't need to know about their childhoods, about their past lives. I didn't need that. That to me could have been totally cut out. And I understand that it was part of the story and it's part of the establishing of the characters, but I actually like stories where they don't go into the backstory of the character. The character is what it is, and they're doing what they're doing because that's just who they are, and that's it. And I feel like the backstory here, it's not that it was completely useless, but we could have gone without it, I think. There was like an extra bit that... the movie was long. The movie was long. It wasn't boring, but it was definitely longer than it could have been. So they could have slimmed it out a bit. And other than that, I don't want to talk about spoilers or anything. It's one of those where there's not... I guess there is twists and turns throughout the whole thing, but it's more about the characters, not about the story. And there are plot twists and everything, but it's so dialogue driven that there's no point in me talking about it. It's just them going at it. And if you don't know what it is, I haven't explained it. Miss Julie is the daughter of the Baron, and she's basically home alone with the servants, the cook, and I guess the cook's sort of fiancé type thing. They're sort of together. He's the valet. And she toys with him all day until he sort of gives in to her. And then things flip out. It was way too dramatic. It was very dramatic. It was way over the top. How it should be. I think a play should be over the top. And I think they did a great job at showing crazy people going crazy, just yelling at each other and then being sorry and then yelling again and then crying and crawling on the floor and kissing each other's shoes, and it was very dramatic, just like a play should be. And I think that's basically my point. It was a really, really good translation of a play to the screen. Don't like plays, or you don't have the possibility to go see one, this is basically it on a screen. So Miss Julie, yeah, it was basically what I wanted it to be. It met my expectations. That it wasn't the best movie I've seen. It wasn't that incredible, but it was very enjoyable. That's for sure. And I feel like I was very entertained. That's it. I was very entertained. They managed to keep me focused and into it. I didn't lose track of what was going on. It's a very simple story, so you really can't lose track of what's going on. And the acting really sells it. The acting and the characters, which I'm assuming are the original characters, I believe. I mean, I'm assuming that they use the original story and dialogue and all that. I can't really say, but they were very well established and very well developed, I guess. But really, the acting sells it. So, yeah, Miss Julie. Good.